What is a core game mechanic? It is a puzzle to solve, an intrinsically interesting rule set into which content can be poured. An example might be moving a piece in chess. Here is the part I want you to focus on. The core mechanic is usually a fairly small rule, and the intricacies of games come from having either a lot of mechanics or having a few very elegantly chosen ones. There are variations on this, and this can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but for the context of the games you will be building, I like to think of core mechanics more often than not as something that the player can do. It is a player interaction, it is a specific input that leads to an output. It is something that the player does most of the game and is repeatable and reusable. So, examples of core mechanics. If we look at Space Invaders from Toto 1978, the mechanics here, does anyone want to attempt? Shooting, 1. Moving, 2. That's it. We've reached the end of that very simple list. Again, things the player can do, things that can be reused in a variety of different contexts throughout the game. As games became more complex, mechanics had to be more versatile, but moving and shooting has been fundamental to so many games, probably 70% of the games ever made. Tetris, very similar. Moving, rotation, and probably connecting full lines. I'd say that's about it as far as core mechanics go. But again, an example of very elegantly chosen mechanics forming a very interesting system. We have made a big jump from Space Invaders to Doom, but fundamentally, it's still based on moving and shooting. The only difference here being the spaces that we navigate, and probably elements of exploration where you need to find keys to progress. And once you progress, what do you get to do? More moving and shooting. Super Mario Brothers, again, if moving and shooting is one of the core tenets of many a game, the other one is, or the other two are running and jumping. You can attribute running and jumping to a lot of games in a lot of different genres, but platformers are founded on this. Mario Brothers has a bit more than running and jumping, but running and jumping here is the key. A core mechanic's pretty clear for those of you who have had a refresher and for those of you to whom this may be new. On to the next one. So we've talked about what a game is. It is a conflict, rules, and playability. It is a combination of those things coming together to form a gaming experience. We have looked at mechanics, the things that the player will actually be doing in the context of a game. Now we look at the core loops. Core loops are the main activities that structure the entire design and that the players engage into repeatedly. Repeatedly. Came up with 3 different words. So, games are repetitive. They may not feel like it, but they absolutely are. If you reflect on any game that you've ever played in the past, especially those you've enjoyed, the experience was often comprised of the same stuff. You were doing the same things and engaging in the same patterns, the same interactions being used over and over again in a repeated sequence that kept hooking you back in. Why did it hook you back in? Because loops are very satisfying. At the end of a loop, there is often a feeling of if I just do one more thing, I can start the process all over again. So, core loops are what determine how you're going to use your mechanics. Every scenario or environment or level that you build should have the core loop in mind because it determines how you engage the player. The core loop is sort of the base level of engagement and more or less structures the entirety of your game most of the time. Excuse me. So, in the earliest forms, core loops are very simple in the way that move and shoot was the fundamental mechanic for a lot of games, remains the fundamental mechanic for a lot of games. Moving and shooting was essentially a loop on its own. Arcade games being very simple, the reward was simply the game itself. Games were very bare bones by comparison to what we have now, but they began to build on that. So, the loops here. If you move and you engage and you evade the enemy and you survive, the reward is you get to do it again. As they developed and got a bit more complex, you introduced the power up, which lets you use the same mechanics with some slight changes. Suddenly we have variety, we have different ways to play the game, we have different ways to utilize the same tool set that we've already established. So, fly around and shoot things. It remains the core premise. But if you gain power-ups, you get a variation of flying around and shooting things. You do that again, you repeat it. Suddenly, the hook becomes what is my next power-up? how can I use it, or how can I improve and get better, more powerful, stronger, level up, all that sort of stuff. And then examples of this as we go from Space Invaders, Defender, and Galaga to Gradius, 1944, and R-Type. Again, based on flying and shooting, or moving and shooting. But suddenly you have variation, as we said. Now, the core loop that I always use as the example, because it's been in this lecture slide for quite a few years now, is the one based on exploration. And this is because I am a Zelda fanboy, as a handful of people know. Billy is a definite. It is a good loop that is used in a variety of different genres in a variety of different ways, and it just has that hook of, let's say, adventure. You explore, you encounter things, doesn't necessarily have to be combat based. You engage with whatever challenges you may have been given, and should you succeed, you are rewarded with something that is able to change how you play the game, or that gives you new spaces to explore. So, if we look at exploration, running, jumping, talking to various things, if we look at encounters, this can be enemies, it can be puzzles, it can be platforming. You engage with these encounters, you can attack, you defend, if it's combat based, you solve puzzles and proceed, whatever it may be, or you're using your reflexes to navigate platforming challenges. And then what is the outcome? Maybe you get new gear, you get loot, maybe you open up new areas, you get a new level. Maybe you get more of the story, if it's a story-driven kind of game. This is a very general core loop that can actually be applied to a lot of different games. But the real thing here is that after succeeding or overcoming the challenges and after using mechanics effectively, you are rewarded in some way, shape, or form. Bethesda's been doing this for years. Almost every RPG has done this for years. You explore, you engage enemies, you gain experience, and you level up. This is Elder Scrolls 2, 4, and was Skyrim 5? Yeah, Skyrim was 5. Again, core premise. These games are very complex and very detailed, and whether you consider them to be balanced or not, I don't really mind. But that fundamental loop of exploration remains the foundation. JRPGs, love them or hate them, they're still built on the same premise. Pretty much every Final Fantasy up until, well, it hasn't changed, so it's still going. The systems have changed over the years, the mechanics have gotten more varied, they've tried real-time, turn-based, and they're still switching back and forth, but it remains the same. Explore, engage enemies, gain experience, level up. Sometimes the hook can be different for Final Fantasy, some are much more drawn to the story, but that same core loop, explore, engage enemies, gain experience, and gain more of the story to progress through. From Software, because I'm also a From Software fan, although I lack the patience or endurance for a lot of their games lately. Still based on similar premise, that GIF is very broken. Explore, engage enemies, gain experience, level up. The reward is new gear, new strengths, new abilities, new ways to engage with the game, new ways to explore, and new ways to engage with enemies. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and we have King's Field. If you really want to test your patience, try King's Field. Last section. So we've gone from games as an overview, we've gone to mechanics, we've gone through core loops. Now we're going to cover systems. So games are intrinsically systemic, or games can be understood as systems. Systems have a variety of definitions, from system being defined as like a functioning physiological unit, organisms, cells, everything coming together. There are all kinds of ways to look at it. A network of structures and channels for communication or distribution, an organized and coordinated method or a procedure. But my two personal favorites, and what I think is most useful to know as game designers as far as systems goes. Systems are a group of interacting, interrelated, or interdependent elements forming a complex whole. But my personal favorite is this: a condition of harmonious, orderly interactions. This comes back to rules, and as designers, you have to come up with the rules. It also comes back to mechanics. You need to come up with the abilities that you are going to give to the player. One thing a lot of designers forget, or at least a lot of first-time designers forget, is you forget how to consider, or you forget to take into consideration how your mechanics account for each other. This is where things like balance come in, or mechanics not being utilized enough. Every mechanic that you introduce has to work in a harmonious, orderly fashion with other mechanics that you introduce. Everything needs to be considerate of each other to make sure everything functions as a whole. So, for example, we'll go back to sports. We have Dennis Bergkamp playing for, I don't know my football teams, Man U, who knows, against Newcastle. We have a variety of things in play. So we have the players. We have all the abilities that the players may have. We have all their various attributes. We have the ball. We have the goal. We have the nets. We have the field. So if we look at the players, they can do more than just kick the ball. Their movement and position comes into play. Different positions have different roles and have different purposes. Different players have different variations of skills. Defenders may not be as fast or as strong as a striker. Striker may have no idea how to defend. Or a goalie. Goalie has a very specific skill set, and you wouldn't never throw them out into the striking position. Is that a hand, or are you putting a hoodie on? Okay. So the point being, there are a lot of things to take into consideration, and an effective team is built on these different skills. If we look at the ball suddenly influences the players. It's relevant to the players passing. It's relevant to their shots. Have we crashed the MacLab in the first session? No. The speed that it travels at and where it travels, its position, suddenly changes how the players approach. If it's at one end of the field, some players are not necessarily in play. Others are used more than often. Others will be more active than those not near the ball. So essentially, the ball causes players to react, adjust their positioning and their approach. We have the field. The size can affect the players. Imagine if the field was, 4 times the size and you had the same amount of players. It would probably be a worse game than it already is. I'm not taking that statement back. Fun to play, not great to watch. But for example, imagine if it were very narrow. Imagine if it were very wide. It changes how the game responds. The game is suddenly vastly different. All of these things are interlocked in a very specific system to ensure that it functions the best way possible and is the most fun, depending on whether you enjoy the sport or not. Now, one way we can look at systems, breaking them down into a system. We have objects, attributes, internal relationships, and the environment. This is from Stephen W. Littlejohn. Oh, that's right. Who wrote Theories of Human Communication. The chat is blocking my view. Who is a communications professor but started to move into philosophy. Now, this is his interpretation of how to break down a system, and these are the requirements for a functional system. So the meaning behind these, the objects, these are the parts, elements, or variables within the system. Attributes, these are the qualities or properties of the system and its objects. The internal relationships, these are the relationship between the objects and the system, and the environment where the system is housed. So we are going to apply it to a game. This is our first Zelda reference for the trimester. Expect many more moving forward. We are going to look at an object. First, the object is the bomb. The object is the bomb. Now, what are the attributes of the bomb? The bomb is an item that you can use, so what can it do? The bomb can be placed, it can explode, and it can deplete. These are, I suppose, the mechanical functions of the bomb. Now, how do these attributes impact other elements, other objects within the system? What are the internal relationships between one object and another? So, obvious one is bombs can cause damage. They can damage both enemies and the player. They can break open weak walls, and occasionally you can combine them with other items. But what we're seeing here are the relationships between what are essentially mechanics or objects. And this is probably the part I want to emphasize with systems, is you need to accommodate and account for these relationships between your mechanics and the objects you have in your game. Nothing should be superfluous. So, yeah, damage both enemies and the active player, can break open weak walls, and can be combined with other items. And it is housed in this particular environment. It is housed in the game world that you establish. So, the bomb. For every object and every mechanic that you place into a game, you need to think of its relationship to other components of the game. How do they interact with each other? Essentially, you have to concept every feasible possibility, and you're always going to overlook some. You'll probably find out that through playtesting. You need to be thorough and detailed with how your objects relate and interact with each other, but you also have to draw the line. Where does interaction end? Where do the possibilities for my game, where do I, put the limits? Where do my rules hinder things? So, as a game designer, you must account for everything. That is the end of the very dense refresher. For those of you who have done design before, hopefully that's sparking up the memories of the much longer lectures I gave on this topic last year. For those of you who haven't seen any of that before, yes, we tore through that very quickly, but we can discuss it more if you'd like. So, quick summary. Games, they are a combination of rules, conflict, player ability, and defined outcome. Mechanics, they are the things that the player can do. They're the fun part. You get to decide what ideas, what abilities you want to give to a player. They are an input that will have an immediate response from the game. They are repeatable and they are reusable. Core loops, they are the repeating structure that houses all of the above. Remember, it should reward and entice the player to continue playing. There should be a feeling of just one more once they're done. And lastly, systems. How are all of these elements contextualized? How do these interact with and respond to each other? And how do they influence the final outcome? Cool? Everyone with me? Great. So, this is specifically for the media design students. Comp, you are not doing this project, so feel free to tune out for now. You can read this for yourself. I'll just explain it in very brief terms. Everyone in here has made a GDD before. If you're a design student, you have made one before. So you're going to be making another one, and you're going to be pitching it to the class. We will do a recap on GDDs next week, although I'm assuming it's still pretty fresh for most people. It is a game design document. You will be putting your ideas and concepts pen to paper and presenting it in that format. You will be producing and submitting a game design document, and you will pitch your concept to the class. It can be an in-person pitch where you can stand up here with the microphone. You will have 2 minutes, although there's only 19 of us, so we may give you a bit more time, to get your idea across to your peers, not necessarily to the staff. You're trying to convince everyone of the qualities of your game so that they will come and work on your idea. So, 2 handed requirements, the document itself and the pitch. As I said, these are due the 3rd of August, not the 2nd, as it says on the outline. 3rd of August, so that is Wednesday, week 4. So you have plenty of time to do this. You can submit it as a PDF, a Word file, or a PowerPoint. If you think PowerPoint is a bit odd, it is, but some students have done it before because it allows for GIFs. You may also submit it, I haven't added this on there, as a Google Doc. And then on top of that, the pitch/presentation. We're keeping it very broad, very brief, because what I want you to do for now, for at least the rest of the week, is just focus on the concept, figure out what ideas you'd like to use, what mechanics you would like to explore. Very sitting and thinking for the first week. We'll go over the hard details probably by week 3, but keep this in mind. You're submitting a document and you need to present it to the class. Is that pretty clear? Cool.
Can I just jump in?
Yes, you can.
And say that for the comp students, you aren't going to have to write that large design document because that's not what you're being assessed on. However, I would still like you to pitch some game ideas because we will have groups that are just comp groups this year because there are 20 designers and 80 programmers, and so we're going to have some teams that are just programmers, and we'd like to see those pitches as well. This will mean that those pitches don't have that fully worked
Variable.
design behind it, but I would still like to see people pitch an idea for some games to be developed. This could come from the assignment 1, which people will be working on, where they could be making a wee prototype of a game to learn Unreal. So there should be some pitches coming in from the game comp students, but those also have that 2-minute limit just to explain what you would like to do with your game, potentially showing off if you've been pre-building it in your prototype for learning Unreal. So, and designers can pick programmers' games. What we generally find is designers are quite keen on designing their own games, and so it's more likely that comp students will pick design projects that are cool rather than the design students picking comp students projects. But we do need those extras because we're going to have at least 8 groups that are just comp students.
Group sizes in the past have generally been between 4 and 6 because of that, how hugely outnumbered we are. We will more or less figure out what works best. I would say no less than 4 and probably no more than something like 7. Now, for those of you who have been in design, previously we've only worked in 2D. We're taking the training wheels off. You can move into 3D. The option is entirely up to you. It is not a requirement for a game to be 3D, but it is now available to you. With that said, games are very broad. Games are very varied. You can completely pursue whatever style of game you would like, whether it is traditional and heavy on gameplay, whether it's something very narrative driven, even if you want to go experimental, abstract, the choice is entirely yours. With your GDD, communicate the concept and convince both us and your peers of its value. There's no such thing as sort of okay, there may be some varying opinions on whether there are bad genres, but as far as developing concepts, we really want you guys to explore what you would like to explore, the ideas that you like, the games you would like to make. So go down those routes. If any time to explore, now is the time. As I said, there will be GDD recaps next week, and we'll also be covering 3D specific elements, mainly to do with models, sort of efficiency, optimization, as well as, well, mainly optimization. Even though Unreal Engine 5 has some tech that is making it a bit easier and putting less emphasis on having artists really optimize their work, we're still teaching you the fundamentals of how to make sure you're working as efficiently as possible. So today, begin thinking about concepts, maybe introduce yourselves to each other, get to know each other, draft up some ideas. With your concepts, think about the following: core loops, core mechanics, core gameplay, what kind of atmosphere, mood, or tone you'd like to pursue, any general ideas that you may have. And as I said before, pursue what you would like to pursue what you would like to pursue. Start with games that you enjoy, games you would like to emulate. With games that you'd like to emulate, try and be critical about them. What do you like about them and why? And it needs to be more than because it's fun. Look a little bit closer. Why do you think it's fun? What in the core loop keeps drawing you back? What engages you about a game? Story, mood, mechanics, system, exploration. Everyone's different. From there, once you've sort of established what the game consists of, look at what elements you would like to use, maybe how you'd change things. How would you re-envision certain ideas? Wednesday, come in with games and concepts. Both Billy and myself will be available. Billy and myself will be both available in lab and online, and we're happy to discuss any and all concepts. Same goes for comp. If you want to chat ideas with us, more than happy to do so. For Wednesday, just have a good idea of the following: what kind of general premise are you going for? What genre are you grounding it in? What are some basic mechanics or a handful of mechanics that you'd like to explore? What is the core loop? What is the target audience you may be aiming for? And why are you pursuing this game? What is good about your game, or why do you want to go down this route? There will be a chapter uploaded to the weekly resources. Hopefully everyone saw my notices. Everything will be on Blackboard, and as usual, we have some recommended playing. Are there any questions? Nope.
Can I just ask? So I saw in some of the documentation that was Thursday was the lab, but the lab is Wednesday 11:30 till 1:30. Yes.
Yes, Monday, Wednesday.
Yep. Okay, so my students, I'm Wednesday at 4, so they'll be they won't have me until after that session. For the people in person, I would like them to try and meet the designers, right? So rather than just break into two groups of designers and programmers, I would like if we could have some mixing in the room. Introduce yourself to people you don't know. Say hello, because these will be the people who are most likely to be working on projects with you. And also, when you're looking to sell your game design ideas, you're not just selling it to design people; you're also selling it to the programmers. So, introducing yourself to some programmers, understanding where they come from is also useful. This is true not just of this course, but of game development in general. Is that you're often pitching not just to the design team, but also a technical team, and so you often will have to think both when you pitch something. So it's not just a design only exercise. It's also useful to engage with the programmers. And for those online, we'll jump off the Zoom and jump into Discord and be online and chatting. And for people who are interested, we'll also be looking at GitHub Copilot as part of the programming side of things. If designers want to learn about GitHub Copilot and its programming AI, then yes, you'll be able to follow along with some of the programming stuff we do on Wednesdays at 1600, so at 4 o'clock. And programmers are welcome to watch these videos and join on Zoom and kind of keep up to speed with the design process. You don't. That's not how you're being assessed, but it is actually quite useful to understand what the other side of the work is doing. Right. So it's encouraging to listen to Tui's content. Yes, it will go quite fast. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. At least you'll know some of the words when you have those conversations or when we kind of give you feedback. So, cool. So, yes, mix up in the room, hopefully, and we'll chat online.
Cool. Thanks, Simon. So that wraps up probably the longest lecture you will ever get, at least from me. 45 minutes, 12:15. That's us for now. Everyone take a 5-minute break. If you need to. Other than that, sit down, think about your ideas, think about what you want to pursue. I'm seeing some Zoom questions.
Yeah, and there's one in the Twitch chat around core mechanics as well. But...
Okay, those in the room, feel free to do your work, and I can chat here. I'll just stop the recording.
Recording stopped.
I said Twitch chat because I'm also Twitch streaming, so I will be Twitch streaming my lectures and my content to my Dr. Simon McCallum Twitch page. But I actually meant on Discord chat. So there's a question on Discord chat, and there's a question on yeah. Okay, you want me to link the Discord? Okay, the Twitch. I'll do that now. Okay.
Okay. Turn that down. Turn you down. So Oliver Herman. Sorry, I missed your question the first time. Are core mechanics unconditional? Oliver, what do you mean by unconditional? As in, are they a requirement? I should have said earlier that game design is not an exact science. It's sort of as Hunter likes to say, it's an alchemy. Oh, right. I think the fire flower is very specific. I think you could make an argument that power-ups in general are a core mechanic of the game. And power-ups can be varied. But yes, it's like I said, it's not exact science. There are no hardline rules as to how you define these. General rule of thumb is that a core mechanic is something that they will do and something that they will continue to do. But But yeah, I would say that power-ups, especially as Mario moved forwards, power-ups are still integral to the experience, and I think if you remove them from Mario, it becomes a far less interesting game. So my personal argument there would be that a power-up is a core mechanic. Um, so I suppose the answer is kind of is the answer. Now, with the messages in Discord, let your chat, the groups have not been defined, okay. General.
I think the question got deleted, so there was one. It was the question on conditional chat, so on conditional power ups. Hey, Billy. You can't hear me. Oh, that's all right. Right, so my Twitch channel. That's the Zoom from the room. We can move that out. And it becomes kind of what you'd like me to talk about. So I can jump into the. I'll leave the Zoom. So I see we've got how many in the Zoom? Oh, yeah. I'm going to leave the Zoom. Okay, and then I will have a look at the Discord. So, if I come out here, I think Tui's live and streaming on Discord, but hopefully I'm not interrupting him too much because he'll have his Discord audio down. So this is basically just a quick introduction. I will be doing more introductions on the Wednesday. And also doing more videos. One of the things that I was hoping to have you all do is in Blackboard submit a 30-second to 1 minute video of who you are and why you're doing this course and what you're interested in terms of games. And that's so that we could actually kind of engage and understand what's going on, and that I have a name associated with all of you. So hopefully that will go well, and we'll be able to kind of build those groups and give that feedback. The first few weeks are going to be doing Unreal stuff, so that should be quite a lot of fun. And I will be also demonstrating some of my work, and some of the examples that I'll be generating will be done in Twitch here. I'll be streaming in Twitch and also on Discord. So we're trying to hit as many of these different possibilities, as many of these areas as possible. So hopefully that will be useful for you all. And I'll just change my video to being OBS webcam. There we go. That's me in the bottom corner. If you want to see me on video on Discord. So, do you have any comments? Do people want to say anything? We're doing the full intro thing for me on the Wednesday thing. That's the first official lecture for me. But I've just added the lecture chat just above, so that we can have that lecture chat. We're going to be using. I will be doing some of my stuff in Unreal 5. would you recommend we regularly attend these lab slots? So, from next week, we will have. So Gavin is online here, and from next week we will have online lectures and online tutors. So Michael is hopefully going to be online on Mondays, and Gavin will be in person on the Wednesday, and we'll also be doing online activities. Generally, what happens on the lab sessions is that Tui will give a half-hour intro lecture, and then the class moves into working on the projects. If you are working in the lab, then yes, it would be very useful to you to come into the lab because that's when you're allocated time. If you are wanting to work with designers, it's very useful to meet them and be able to work with them, so that would be useful. Attending online, for the first part will be though that design section, but there will be me zooming and Twitch streaming and in Discord during these times to help you with Unreal and developing your games and answering questions and moving through the content. One of the big things for me is that we are moving from teaching you things to helping you learn things, right? So rather than having a lot of content in terms of taught components, we help set up the task, we help give you an idea of what we want you to achieve, and then we let you go out and find resources and we help you evaluate those resources, right? So this is the move away from us carving up everything nicely and putting it on your plate and you going out and hunting your own food, right? So it's that transition, because in 3 months time many of you will be in the wilderness and having to learn everything yourself. So it's far better if we teach you that, teach you how to learn rather than teach you individual bits of content. So I'm interested. Are you happier with Twitch? Are you happier with Discord? Are you happy with Zoom? What's people's preferred environment? Those in Discord can say Discord. I've only got one on my one person currently on my Twitch stream. Discord needs no ads on Twitch. Oh, yeah, that's true. So we do have a streaming limit of 25, which is the biggest challenge in the lecture rooms, and that limit is I think going to be our biggest challenge. Is having having only able to stream video to 25 people. We're looking at what the others might be, so there'll be some Zoom stuff that will need to be done because of those limits on the number of people that can come in and join us in Discord. So I can do all of them, right? I can do Twitch, I can do Zoom, and we can do Discord. So that's perfectly reasonable. We'll keep chat and tutorials will generally be done online on Discord. I find that that's a little bit easier. And we can do the general chat when we're doing this larger talking, can be done on Discord. All of you can join the Discord chat, even if you're watching the Zoom lecture, and we'll watch both. But then we've got separate offices. We have an admin area, and we'll also have meeting rooms for people to go and chat to each other. Groups can create their own Discord server, or we can give you an audio locked area on our server for your groups to chat. There'll also be, as you see, we've got some Unreal 427 support and some Unreal 5 support. So if you've got questions that are Unreal related, you can go to the Discord chat for those. We have the tutors who will be spending some time managing the Discord area, and so we'll be answering questions in Discord when you have them. And so people can follow along that chat. Right. You don't need to subscribe to me. I don't know if I can turn off ads. So I think they're on by default. I'll try and turn them off as much as I can, but I think Twitch like earning money, so they like putting ads on things. So the question there is, are you allowed to stream your own dev process? And the answer is, well, yes, absolutely, you can stream your own dev process. In fact, if you like, if you're streaming your dev process, you can share those dev stream links with me, and we might have the tutor come and kind of just poke their eye and see how you're going. Certainly, if you're streaming your process during a lab time, we will get the tutor to come by and have a look at how you're going and give you some feedback. So that would be fantastic. So yeah, no, I've used so I've got a new course coming out next year. So which is going to be a game jam course. So you do 3 game jams over a 12-month period. And previously when I've taught that course, I have actively included students streaming during those game jams, because that's a standard thing for game jams to have. And then what we've done is I've walked around helping students by just moving around the different groups and seeing what they're currently doing in their streams, and giving them feedback on code and giving some ideas on their game, and doing those sorts of things. So I am used to walking around various streams and commenting on people's progress.
If anyone that wants to actually stream that process, I mean, that'd be quite a fun thing to pop into and just see how things are coming along as a tutor.
Okay, so the question for on 313. Oh, and Gavin, did you check to see if you could see the 313 wiki? I thought I had made it available.
I did check when we had our meeting a moment ago, and I couldn't access it then, but I haven't checked since.
Right. That means I need to go in and do the permissions thing and make it available to students.
Yep.
That's
I was very silly earlier. I tried to say hi, but I realized my microphone was muted, so...
It happens. Okay, so I need to go to the... web preferences, and edit, and go down to access controls, and allow, and I've got to remember what I do here. Allow view, and I think I just remove that and save. Can you see it now?
Let me give that a check. Yep, wonderful, we're in business.
Okay, so sorry about that, Benjamin. Yes, there is a full 313 page. However, I just realised that I hadn't made it visible to you. Now I'm actually leisure access denied. Try it again now. I think I've just opened it up so you guys can all see it. Hopefully. Now. It's successful now. Excellent. Sorry about that. Now this is so so I have got Wednesday 11. So I did put it on correctly there. I must have I've misread one of the Thursday times. It used to be Thursday for the labs. Now it is actually Wednesday. So Gavin, I know you'd agreed on Thursday, but is Wednesday possible for you?
Wednesday is possible, but I was planning to leave Wednesday as a 487 day. I can still make it in. It's just it'd be the only thing I'd be coming in for, and I live out in Param.
Right. Well, I mean, what we'll do is we'll not have you in person this time, and what we'll ask students is how much in person versus online do they want to have, and we can work it out, right? Because certainly with there is pressure to go to red on the government at the moment, and
oh dear, not again.
Well, you see, the problem is if we keep going up, and we've been going up steadily, then you start saying, well, yeah, we're going to have to go back to masks in primary schools, and we're going to have to start having people minimise their contact. So yeah, because unfortunately the health system, the hospitals are already now completely chocker, and yeah, it's a problem. So, but that said, we'll avoid the Wednesday in person this time, and we'll try and find a good time for students who want to come in person and actually get in-person help. Usually we don't have hundreds of, we only got 80 in the class, but a lot of people are quite good at getting help online now. So I think that's probably where we're going to go. So
okay.
And students, this is also, how you want us to spend our time helping you. Is online going to be effective? Do you want to come in and show us what you're doing? Some of you won't have laptops that will run Unreal, and so actually the only time to really be able to show us what's going on is online and screen sharing. So honestly, we can give you quite a lot of help online. I'll be doing some videos, so that will be interesting. So yeah, so we'll try and do videos. We'll try and keep you up. So as a design student, would there be any comp requirements for the Game Jam course, or would this be possible to serve from Diamond? So Xavier, we're actually we've got 2 Game Jam courses. One is coded as comp, which is I'll be managing and running and assessing, and one is coded for design, so that designers can join that Game Jam course, and that Tui and I will be running, and they'll have different requirements on grading, but the process will be the same. Is you do 3 Game Jams in a 12-month period, and you have to show, so you have to contribute, you have to document how you contributed at the end, and talk about what you learnt and how you contributed to the project, and things. So, but one will be from a programming perspective and a technology perspective. The other will be from a design and game development perspective. So those are 2 courses, different codes, slightly different assessment, but running simultaneously. And we again expect designers and programmers to work together in Game Jams. So it should, and we're going. I push for a 12-month period so that we can include the Global Game Jam in January, end of January. So because the Global Game Jam is the biggest in the world, and it's really good for people to get involved with that, because it's a lot of working with industry. So that's how we're going to try and do the equivalent of internships and industry work, is through Game Jams, and having game industry people come run the Game Jams and be part of those Game Jams, and join the industry Game Jams that are currently running. So we've got Kiwi Jam and there's Aotearoa Jam, and there is the Global Game Jam, and there'll be a Game Jam for Health, which I'll be running. And so yeah, there's the Ludum Dare and the International Game Jams on itch.io that will also be supporting. So that's coming in for next year. That one's going to be a 200 level course. So, but I'll be doing a 200 next year. I'll be doing a 200 level Unreal Engine course, which will be entirely in Unreal Engine 5. So that will be a 15-point course running in this trimester next year. And then this course will change into a 30-point, so double-sized course, and become a large portfolio capstone course for the game programming students and for the design students. I know it took us some time, but I'm trying to do my best to increase the game content. We're going from 15 points to 60 points of programming game content, so it's not so bad.
Wish I could have done this in my second year.
Yeah, I'm also taking over a whole bunch of Sigra 151. So if there are, so we're trying to. I've got a third of that course now. Is going to be me talking about games, and we'll be introducing games in that first year more formally. And so we have the first year game design course as well, which is co-taught, which has students from programming and design in it. Okay, so
the question, sorry, Simon, from a student about whether groups will be determined by us or by them. It's just by whatever name you put down. Putting your name down for whatever project you want to work on based on their pitch.
Yeah. So it's actually a mix of what happens is you don't form your own groups. What you do is we have 3, and I'm thinking 4 categories, right? And you get to decide which of those is most important for you as an individual. There'll be the people you want to work with, the people you want to work with, the project you want to work on, and the role you want to have in your group, right? So those are the 3 possible ways that we can use to try and build teams. And so we need you to rank 5, 6, 7 different projects so that so that we can, if one gets too full, we can put people into second and thirds, and also say which people you want to work with and whether the people or the project are more important, because some people, they don't really care the project so long as they get to work with individuals. For other people, they really want to work on this project and they don't really mind which individuals they work with. So you get to say which one of those you want us to weight when we're creating those groups. So if you have a couple of people that you really, really want to work with, then that is possible to indicate. But it will still be made by us, so don't expect to form a group don't necessarily be forming a group of 6 people and trying to pitch that group of 6. We're more looking for groups of 2s and 3s, because then we can put those together, potentially a group of 3 and a group of 2 with a singleton, and make a group. So we'll be making groups, but we'll be making groups with your interests and your involvement in that design. Right, so the different roles are going to be my 6 animal roles, and I will discuss those in the lecture. And that's part of how I do online groups and how I do the group behavior. Some of you have done Sven 303. Craig used my 6 animal model for group communication. I don't know how well he described it, but he at least used it. I will be doing those roles again, but also with more of a game development slant for this course. On the comp assignment page it says Project 2 is a 3D game. During lectures we were told 2 or 3D. Would like a clarification. It's 2 or 3D. Right, so I will change that to say 2 or 3D game for Project 2. There is no restriction on doing 2D games. It's just that for the first time the designers were allowed to do 3D games, because before this they were forced to do 2D games because of the fear of the assets getting out of hand in 3D. So, yeah, the animal roles can be useful if particularly when groups start to fail. But they're probably only useful for about half the class. So I'll also be talking about other group dynamic systems and group communication systems. So it's one system will be animal system. There's also De Bono's 6 hat models for group communication. We'll look at how you do Scrum and code reviews, how to give good feedback, those sorts of things as well. Yeah. So Maxwell, it's also if you are sitting around in a group of 6 people, knowing who's responsible for which bits of the communication can be quite useful. Though I know, so I don't know if Craig did this, but I compare it to being in a flatting situation where somebody has to, vacuum and someone has to do the toilets and someone has to clean the bathroom, and so those roles need to be allocated to somebody. And it's not that that's your only role in the house. It's just that this week or for some length of time somebody has to pick up doing the vacuuming. So and there are some people who really hate cleaning toilets and some people who really hate vacuuming, and so sometimes you pick a job that you don't mind and you do that job. So it's more around those aspects that I was looking at those group communication roles. And also, if you take it seriously and you actually have the rabbit setting up meetings and the owl running the process of the meeting, and the cat having that extra responsibility for running certain things like the testing process, right? So if you've got to use a testing process, the cat can run that because they're the critical one. So if you actually use the roles to then allocate additional activities, that can be useful. But it's just a tool, right? So I'm not saying that everything, just because there's a hammer, everything's a nail. So, yeah, sometimes you don't need a screwdriver. If you know how to do like proper joinery, you can make amazing furniture with no screws. So you don't certain tools you don't need. Anyway, okay, so any other questions in the Twitch lecture chat? No, Twitch, Discord, sorry. I've got to get my naming right. Okay, so hopefully it's clear that we'll be doing that the designers will be on Mondays and Wednesdays in the room there for online stuff. Gavin and I will be available. We'll be talking with people. If you're keen and you want to start before the Wednesday lecture, which is the first lecture that I'll be giving in the course, then either pick 427 or 5 and start installing and following the installation process. You will have to install Visual Studio Community Edition because we're programmers, and so we will look at code during the trimester. So I do expect you to have Visual Studio and be able to work with both C++ and Blueprints. So you can start with VS 2019 will work, so will VS 2022. So I have both 19 and 22.
But I think my main one would be
though 19 might work better with 427. I don't know if
so as
427
you can
uses
set
22.
cards, and each card
I
represents
know
a
5
tile
can work with 22. I don't
used
know.
to create part of the trend. Right, so
But you can get 19
like a random
Okay, so somebody's
tile.
talking.
Yeah, and you're versing another player. So 1v1. And you take turns.
Okay. So I just muted Jay because I don't think he had intended to be unmuted.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? So yeah, start downloading stuff, start installing, and start, as I said, go through the getting started with Unreal. It's the best place to start. I'll make some videos for people depending on how much they want me to do. I mean, it's how much walkthrough videos people want. Now, I suppose also we need to talk about Git, and so I'll also talk about Git and using Git. So one of the questions, I see someone typing, but one of the questions I had for you as students, can we have a channel on Discord to share resources? Yes, that's an excellent idea. So let's add that channel and call this resources and create channel. There we go. There's a resources channel that I just created, and comp313 chat. Someone said something. Right. So yep. I've just created a resources channel, and we can also have a resources space. Now, one of the questions. Yes, the recommended project scope will be covered. I was working on assignment 1, so you can see that assignment 1 hasn't got the text in it yet. I'm updating assignment 1 to make it compatible with GitHub Copilot and the changes that have happened with GitHub Copilot. The current lecture schedule was was copied from last year, but is likely to change because I run an agile lecturing process for this course where you all get to vote on what you want me to teach you. So we will change topics around, and we'll change the order of which topics occur in those lecture slots, and also in what happens in the tutorials based on what you need to learn. We'll also look at having a session on GitHub Copilot in there, and some more on Git, because although hopefully most of you got quite good with Git, still having a reminder of some of the good Git practices can be quite useful. And the last thing I'd like to do is also have a discussion with the class, and I'll rather than just the people in Discord here, I'll send this out as a survey, but using GitLab as the LMS is the question, because you're used to, so we've got some Blackboard links to videos, but instead of using the ECS wiki, I was thinking I would use GitLab as my location for the lecture slides and location for the issues that are coming up and the timing information. You'd still submit through the ECS submission system, but and that will have the GitLab submission link. Plastic SCM, no, that's more of a Unity thing. We're using GitLab. We've got a GitLab install rather than Plastic SCM. I haven't actually used Plastic SCM, but I know that Unity was moving to it, which is, I mean, it is good for really big projects. But yeah, I'm willing to investigate moving to Plastic SCM if people feel that I don't know what the pricing model for it is. Let's have a look. Well, I mean, I'm happy for. So okay, so we're using so Plastic NCM is not built into Unreal. Um, I don't think there's an engine plugin for it. Purpose Unreal. So again, I think you have a plugin for Perforce built into Unreal, but Unreal Home is on GitHub, so it has more GitHub built in. So Git is more built into Unreal than Perforce or Plastic ECM. All right, so you didn't mean Plastic ECM, you mean Perforce. No, neither of those are built in. It's actually Git that's built in. And you can connect to the build in your GitHub. GitHub is slightly easier, but you can also link to our GitLab and have it directly built into the IDE. But you know, those are for your projects. What I mean is, instead of using the wiki, using GitLab, our LMS GitLab, as the LMS system. What do people think? Would they prefer me to continue using the wiki, which I can comfortably do, or would you like me to demo how I would do this course using GitLab and do more agile style development, where I treat the course like an agile project and we work together to work out lecture content and edit the course? I can certainly see a good argument for the wiki for consistency reasons, right? Because this isn't the only thing you're doing. If it was the only thing you're doing, then it's fine to move to something new. But if but the more different systems, the harder it is to remember to look up everything. So well, what I'll do is I'll show you what it looks like to do a course in GitLab, because it looks like our wikis will probably start to be dismantled as we move into Canvas, because Canvas is a much better interface than Blackboard and is more programmable. And so we'll be looking at some courses will go into Git and some courses will go into Canvas. And we're going to retire the forums that we used to have, because the forums are really, really old.
I can't remember the last time I even used it.
Yeah, no, that's one of the challenges. Okay, so any other questions? And so we'll have the full actual lecture, and I'm recording this, but as recording this is me talking rather than recording all of your comments. So yeah, I'll put this up in the VStream, so people can come back and watch all this me talking about stuff. We'll also, so you know, we'll be streaming on Twitch, but I don't have a huge audience, and they're mostly just former students who pop in to see what I'm up to. But if some of you want to watch me do other things on Twitch, I'll also be on Twitch doing some dev stuff. But for lab sessions, we'll make sure it's available on Discord and in VStream recording. For some of my videos that I make, what I might do is what I've done in the past is I will Twitch stream my development process, and then do the recording of the cleaned up bit and put that up, right? So if you want to see me kind of struggle with things and potter around while I'm programming, then that's what my Twitch stream will have. But the final content videos will hopefully be cleaned up and on Panopto or YouTube. If you prefer me to put them on YouTube, I'll put them on YouTube. It's again up to you as a group. Do you prefer Panopto or YouTube? Because I'm quite happy to put things on YouTube. I've got there's a YouTube channel for this course. You prefer YouTube? Okay, I'm getting some YouTube love in there.
Sounds like we have an answer.
Right. So Panopto's not great, so YouTube would be better. Okay, I'll so the YouTube channel that I use for this content, and now you saw my email requesting you to make a video, and I put that into Blackboard, and I shared the Panopto link, but I'll share, and if you guys are preferring Panopto, I'll just switch accounts over to that one. So gotta get my link, come on. Right, so those are some of the videos there, and oh, I've forgotten where they put the channel link for. There it is. There we go. Copy that. Bang. Okay, so that's the YouTube channel that I've been using for this course. There are some previous lectures and a couple of walkthroughs and some stuff. There was a Zoom focus mode thing for people who wanted to because I was doing that for some of the lecturers who were wanting to do Zoom invigilation. Okay. All right, I won't read things out. So, but yeah, so that's that. So if people prefer YouTube channels, then I will pop that up in the YouTube channel, and I'll create a playlist for 2022, so that you'll have the content there. Okay. And I'll have to rename that Comp3. That will be by my previous years. And I need to. I've also got the Comp261 stream up there as well. So if some of you wanted a refresher on Comp261, the first few lectures which I gave, which you didn't have me give, but I taught that earlier this year. But I'll put up a 313 rather channel with 2022 for streaming this year's content into YouTube, or putting it up on YouTube. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? Does anybody else want to say hello to the class? Seeing we've got 21 people listening in, and want to say what kind of games they're interested in. Because the thing is that I'm getting you guys to do that recording for me, but it can be useful to just have a quick run around and introduce people, and just see either verbally or in text. People can say their favourite game genre, and we can start kind of, getting to know each other a wee bit. So what in lecture chat?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah. Ajita?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. My name's Judah, and I'm interested in kind of like I guess like exploration games. My favorite ones are Undertale, which is more of a JRPG. Then Disco Elysium, which was kind of a visual novel, and Outer Wilds, which was space exploration,
Cool.
kind of sim.
You got good taste in games.
Oh, thanks, friend. You also know my profile picture is from the Untitled Goose Game. I've never played this game, and I hate geese.
Interesting. My children demanded that I buy them the Goose Game, the Untitled Goose Game. So they've got that on PlayStation 4 now, because they were playing it at their cousins at my brother's house. So yes, I have actually played that game.
Apparently, before I was even born, I hated swans. Whenever they would hiss, I would start wriggling.
Well, you could already sense the deep hatred of nature for the human race.
Beautiful birds, but you do not want to wrestle with one.
Okay, so would someone else like to introduce themselves and the game they're interested in? So maybe Amy at the top there.
Hello, I'm Amy. Yep. My favorite game would be Stardew Valley, but I've been playing Hades at the moment. Yeah.
Right. And are you 313 or are you design?
I'm Comp 313.
Excellent. Right. So, and what do you want to get out of the course? Are you keen on becoming a game developer? Or are you just interested in learning about games?
I'm definitely keen on becoming game dev. Just sort of keeping my options open at the moment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is an interesting and challenging industry to get into and to work in. But we'll be having some people from Pickpot come in and meet with people.
Oh, cool.
And do some chatting. And I was talking to A44. We might get some people in from Dinosaur Polo Club, and we're trying to get the Unity people to engage as well. So hopefully we'll have some meeting with industry people. And there's also if you're interested in getting in the industry, the NZGDC is in August. So in the last week of week 6. So it's in the last part of week 6. So if you're interested in meeting people, then the NZGDC is a good place to go and meet industry people. So but we'll also have some content around that and see what we can do around getting people and getting students in front of industry people. Cool. Okay, Daniel.
Oh, got some push talk. Hey, I'm Daniel in 3-on-3. I've played far too much CSGO for my lifetime. I'm quite into kind of like city building, more calm games, thinking of like City Skylines, also things F1 games because who doesn't love some F1? But yeah, that's kind of my variety.
Nice. I like that. No, the CS:GO stuff can be quite intense. Particularly if you start trying to compete internationally. But yes, no, I had a student who was the manager for one of the Norwegian esports teams, and so they had a CS:GO group in them as well. So yes, can be very intense. But that sounds good. And Daniel, what are you wanting from the course? Are you interested in game development, or are you just wanting to become a better programmer, or?
I probably wouldn't go into game development, but it sounded like quite an interesting course, and I'm looking forward to the final product that gets created. Like, it'd be an interesting process to learn about,
Right. Cool.
but it's not something I'd go too far in with life, I don't think.
No, that's good. It's just kind of useful to get an idea of kind of the kinds of people that we're working with. And one of the other advantages of us being online and doing this online is that you guys can actually be doing other things and checking other things while you listen to this. So we're not using your 100% attention. Okay, so Emily, can I get you to say hello?
Hello, it's Emil.
Emil, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm in Comp 313.
Mhm.
And I'd say my favorite game. Well, it's hard to choose my favorite game, but recently Elden Ring, I'd say.
Right.
Probably top recently. Yeah.
And Emil, are you interested in the industry, or are you wanting to be a better programmer, or what's your intent?
I think there's a bit of programmer at the moment, but I do really enjoy the game development from the computer graphics paper from first year. Yeah. So hopefully can learn like better programming and stuff from it.
Yep, no, that'll be. So one of the things I say, and I say all this is to be a good game programmer, you have to be a good programmer. So yes,
Yeah.
it'll be trying new things and learning a new way of development. Particularly, this is going to be interesting this year with both you learning blueprints and learning to code with AI. Because I'm going to advise most of the programmers to try and get GitHub Copilot because it's now available for all of you and free for if you join GitHub student package. We can start playing with GitHub Copilot in Unreal because it helps with some of the technical syntax around making things available in Unreal. So, yeah, but
Yeah.
Have any of you been using GitHub Copilot already? Did any of you get in the closed beta?
No.
No, none of you.
I would assume that's all a no.
Do you all know that you now can? Right. So Amy hasn't heard of it yet. Oh, this is going to be an excellent.
Oh, have fun, Simon. This is a field day for you.
Oh shit.
You can complete the entirety of Comp 102 and 103 by pressing tab.
Basically, yeah. It's which is why they're going to have to change Comp 102 and 103 because they have to remove those really detailed to-dos, right? So basically, you have to remove the to-dos so that the AI doesn't just solve the problem for you. And they're looking at moving more to there is a bug in this code, you have to find it, rather than here is a to-do and write the code. Because once you get very explicit to-dos, and because enough people have solved those first year problems online before, it can just find all the code. And the thing is that yes, if you go to GitHub Copilot and you've registered as a student, it's free. If you're not registered as a student, it's $100 a year, which isn't a huge amount of money, but it is remarkably good at doing a whole bunch of stuff. So for example, I was using it in 313. I just grabbed I wanted to create an averaging. I thought, what's something I could do? I know, I'll average an array. And so I went over into Visual Studio. I put in the comment, having created a blueprint class, and I put in the comment, calculate the average of an array, hit enter, and it gave me the function that averages an array in the way that Unreal wants me to do it. And then I went over into the H file and wrote the same comment, and it gave me the header line for it, and I went back to Unreal, and that popped up as a node that I could now use, saying it was an array, wanting an array inputs, and doing those sort of things. So it was quite impressive. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Oh, interesting. So Tui's just told me that the lab has been updated and they're running UE5. Okay, so that's an so we'll have to discuss that. So I'll that's that, but that was in text chat, so we're gonna have to. He's obviously wanting to discuss that rather than say that's something we're gonna have to deal with. But that's an interesting update. But so we're gonna try GitHub Copilot. We'll see how that goes. It is interesting to program with something that's suggesting code because you still have to read the code to understand it and make sure that it's not doing something wrong, right? So that's one of the challenges that we have when you've got an AI helping you code. But it does mean we'll have an AI helping you code. And I've had students use it in writing LaTeX. So if any of you planning on doing fourth year, GitHub Copilot can give you good syntax in LaTeX for tables and for figures, and you don't have to remember that stuff because it can do it. So yeah, there is some interesting things happening with AI now. Okay, so Jeffrey, can we have you say hello?
Yeah, hello. What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yeah.
we can hear you. It's good.
Yeah. So, what are we doing here? Introduction, right?
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, saying hi.
Okay. My name's Jeffrey. You can call me Jeff. Don't ask why I have a picture of Hyrule at the back. Yeah. So I used to play Counter-Strike professionally. So yeah, it's
Nice.
mostly I play shooters and stuff like that. Was sponsored by Logitech for a bit. Yeah. Nowadays I've just built keyboards. I run a shop. I build keyboards, I build computers, and as for game devs, I mean, I haven't done much, but I'm quite interested because I've been playing pretty much video games nonstop. Sometimes even during lecture, we don't talk about that. But yeah,
that's all fine.
Yeah,
It's fun.
I'm also I'm also into like MMOs, stuff like that. Story-driven games. Like I've played pretty much every single Final Fantasy, almost all the Zelda games. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite keen on anything, to be honest.
Cool. Oh,
And in terms of in terms of like game dev stuff, like I want to work in game development, either work in game development or, at least be involved in that. Me and some friends at the moment are working on a shooter, an FPS shooter, online. So that's gonna be coming out soon, hopefully, if everything goes well.
What's that called?
We don't have a page yet, but it's trying to remember what it's called actually, because we just call it Project Alpha, but
Ah, gotcha.
but
It's
we
not
haven't
really-
actually have a name.
Yeah, not finalized, I suppose.
Yeah,
That's cool though.
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds like fun. No, it's nice. To
So
see
if there's a random Steam key showing up in the page, let me know. That might be it.
Oh, actually, it's the esports stuff is interesting because I was out talking to recruitment, and they were saying one of the things that we should be promoting is esports activities. Because a bunch of high school kids are very keen on the esports side of where they're going rather than just the course content. So yeah, no, it's
I mean, it would be fun if we had like the campus class, because I played with that with uni like last year. That would have been fun if it was part of a course, because I had to I didn't get permission to get out to play in that when I had a comm assignment due like the exact same day, so I ended up using my late day to play in that.
Yeah. No, we have been talking with some of the as the creative center, whether or not we can get the new what is it called, Creative Fields project. Whether or not esports is something that can come under that kind of sports psychology, sociology kind of study or like artistic expression kind of stuff. So yeah, but at the moment it's not direct programming, so I can't really give you credit for it. Though I have been trying to think how I give students credit for sleeping properly.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, because the problem is if I give you more time, all right, if I make the projects smaller or make them, simpler to do so that you look after yourselves better, some of you will work harder and party harder, or play games for longer. And so,
Isn't that a good thing, though?
for your mental health, it could be a very good thing. But, it's one of those, if in certain situations, I would rather you sleep for 5 hours than do my assignment for the next 5 hours, right? If it's 1 a.m. in the morning and you have the choice of sleeping or doing my assignment, I kind of would prefer you to sleep, because if you come to class having not slept, you don't learn stuff. So, yeah, but that's a really hard thing to do.
So another thing as well, I wanted to ask, with the projects and stuff like that, if we do something like multiplayer and stuff like that, is that okay? Or, if we run our own servers and stuff
You're
like
free
that?
to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, you can do multiplayer. I have a lecture on multiplayer. I'll discuss multiplayer. I'm happy for you to drive it in that direction.
I mean...
It'd be very ambitious, but I mean, you're more than welcome to give it an attempt.
I mean, if you're passionate, some of that stuff, and actually some of the libraries now make things really easy. Unity's gone through an interesting phase of supporting and not supporting multiplayer. Unreal's multiplayer is pretty good, though you tend to use a demo server unless you actually go through the process of registering a project, and there's a bit of a hassle around getting multiplayer through Steam properly. But you can certainly do some multiplayer. Cool. Okay.
That's another thing as well.
Yep.
With asset usage, like plugins and stuff like that from the marketplace, is that allowed or is that
absolutely
not?
You're absolutely allowed. You can use and if you're in a comp type project, you're not being assessed for the assets. So just grab whatever you like in whatever way you like. Also, I am. So for internal project idea development, which is mostly what this would be considered in most companies, you can use, so long as you're not publishing any of it, right, you can use any assets you like from anywhere at all, right? So if you find assets online that are copyrighted, but they show off what you want to do, then you are using them to discuss an internal project. You are not publishing them. Right, so from a copyright
like fair use.
Yeah, so basically, just use anything you like internally, just don't publish it online. Right, so if you want to use licensed material, that's fine by me, because we're using it internally. But if you're actually, the challenge is when you if you want to publish anything, you'll have to strip out everything that's licensed. Right. So if you want to have it as a portfolio piece, you need to strip out all the licensed material, right? So basically, although you can use use stuff without licenses, it's probably better to find find things which you can use in your portfolio and show off to people, right? Because that's ideally what you want to do with your project, is show it to people. But I'm not restrictive on how you use stuff. So
as long as we have a game ready at the end.
Well, yeah, that's some of it. The other thing is your process, right? I want to see how you did it, right? So we've also got what bits you've programmed, what you learnt by programming it, what engineering process you used. We'll be talking about all of this during my lectures, right? So the process is also important because I want to see how you're doing it, because I don't want you to just buy a game from Poland and present it as your own.
Well, that's illegal.
Well, it's academically,
but it's academically illegitimate.
Yes.
And also highly illegal.
Well, no, if you the legality is the challenge there. No, you can. So one of my colleagues in Oslo, he worked with Funcom, but also worked for an education group, and he found a student who did one of their projects remarkably well, much better than the student had done it before. Couldn't find where they'd got it from, couldn't find why, like, anything suspicious about it. Until a few months later, he saw that it had popped up in a Polish outsourcing site.
Oh
where
dear.
They had paid like €100 for a Polish developer to write their assignment for them.
Yikes.
And they'd already passed and left the university at that point, so it was kind of, do we try to retrospectively remove their degree from them for cheating? Because that's the only move you got at that point. And you don't. And in New Zealand, we actually have that ability. We can, if we've decided that you have repeatedly cheated, one of the things we are able to do is actually remove your current degree and any other previous degrees issued through your New Zealand universities. Right? So we can actually remove previously attained degrees in New Zealand if you repeatedly cheat. So, yeah. Just as a warning, don't repeatedly cheat. But no, for me, it is the dev process that you are learning things and that you know how to use the code you're submitting is what's important. So.
Yep. And last thing, streaming the assignments fine, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Because like I asked last time when you do ECS stuff, like comment stuff like that, I think they were like, no, the code's private, blah blah blah.
Oh well, so
Yeah.
for this, because the first assignment and second assignment, the first assignment in the project, or the only assignment in the project, the assignment, you all will be making your own either mini game or tech demo to learn Unreal, right? And so you're doing your own thing. You're not trying to give me a known answer. You're trying to learn stuff, and so you're making a game you're interested in, or a wee mini game that you're interested in to learn Unreal, or you're doing a tech demo to learn Unreal. So everyone can do different ones, right? There's no, you're not all having to do the same, and you're not trying to get one endpoint. And for the project, all of you will be making different games, and so all of you can stream all of your development as you go. So no, there's no single endpoint, so all of you are allowed to share.
So that's yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And happy for people to share their learning with each other.
Okay. Well, I'll stream then. Yep.
Yep. No.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so I'm just seeing some of the comments. So sleep steals your money. Yeah. Yeah. You can only borrow from future sleep for a certain length of time. Okay, so we'll move down. Michael, can you say hello?
Yeah, hi. I'm Michael Desan. I'm in 313. Forgive me if I sound a little rough. I currently have the plague.
All right. Yeah. No, my son tested positive yesterday, so he was awake till about 2 a.m. last night. So yeah, plague, not nice.
Yeah. Games I'm interested in. My favorite game is Morrowind, third Elder Scrolls game. But I really like games that give the player like a set obstacle, but any number of different ways that you might overcome it. Like I just recently started playing Disco Elysium, and so far being an absolute drunken mess in that is very, very fun. What I'm looking to get out of this course, I do want to get into game dev. I've messed around a little bit with Unreal myself, but I am looking forward to having sort of a more structured environment in which I can do that.
Cool.
Lovely.
Sounds great. Okay, so and one of the advantages of doing things in here rather than in Zoom is that who I'm next coming to, because I'm moving down the list. So it will be Michael Levy now. So excellent. Thank you, Michael Dusan.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michael too.
Electric Boogaloo.
My favorite type of games are an assortment. I like competitive card games, grand strategy, and Tetris for some reason. As for game dev, I don't really plan to go into it as a career, but it is something I really enjoy for like side projects and stuff, just doing it by myself or with friends. I really like the tangible and visual result you get from it. I'm excited to do that in this course.
Cool. Yeah, no, and that's a good thing to have. Actually, it's quite nice to have a mix of people because if everybody has their own idea and is just driving hard on their own game idea, then it can lead to some conflicts. And so it's actually nice to have people who are kind of interested in seeing projects succeed without necessarily needing to lead those projects. So yep, cool. Okay, so Oliver.
Hi, I'm Oliver, and I'm doing Comp 313. I mainly play FPS games, but I also enjoy like roguelikes and Soulsborne games. I have a ridiculous amount of hours in CS:GO. Yeah.
Got a lot of them now.
I don't know.
Oh, good to see you again, Oliver.
It's good to see you too. Yeah. I don't know if I'll go into the games industry, but this course just sounded incredibly interesting. I think the group project experience seemed useful, as well as displaying projects to potential employers. Right now, I'm mainly playing Doom Eternal. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. And Reese.
Hi, I'm Reese313. Played a lot of Dota and StarCraft. But I also enjoy like survival RPG, city builder, strategy kind of games as well. In terms of game dev, I'm not really sure whether I actually want to go into it, but I do find it very interesting. Yeah.
Good to hear your voice. Now part of the reason to get people to say their name and to have the voices, so I hear voices and I can kind of imagine like the name to the voice and some of the interests and some of the background. So it's useful for other people to hear who else is in the course because they can make some of those connections, particularly if they're not in the room with people. So so that's partly why we're doing this. So Rose, can I get you to introduce yourself? Okay.
Is your mic not working?
She's unmuted, but there's no sound.
Happens with my mic sometimes.
Because Rose, you were tutoring in my
Yeah, Rose was another tutor
yes,
in 261.
Was the tutor in 261.
Hello again, Rose.
But she's still no audio. Okay, we'll come back to Rose.
She might just be rejoining real quick. It happened to me in Discord where I just need to jump in and out.
Okay. So, while she does, Sam. How about Sam Donache?
Almost. Dunnicky, yeah.
Dunnicky, right, okay.
So I'm Sam. In regards to favorite game, I've been working through all the Lego games.
Hey!
They're very nostalgic.
They're great games, right?
That's my childhood.
They're pretty good.
In regards to my more played ones, it's definitely going to be Terraria and Skyrim.
Hey!
In regards to my experience, I made Pong in Unity like a year ago, and so that's about it.
It's a start, and we're all good here. There's no judgment on what stage people are in game development. That's all good. And we're gonna have fun making games, right? So that's the plan for the trimester.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, so Rose, can we give another go for Rose?
Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm Rose. My favorite sort of games are more story-driven games, but I'm especially a fan of puzzle games. Favorite game series is Professor Layton. I don't know if anyone here's heard of it, but
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Nintendo, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had it on the DS as a kid.
I have played all the games.
Wow. Okay.
I stole them off my mother.
How about Phoenix Wright?
Yes, also the Phoenix Wright one.
Ooh.
And I mean, I just picked this course because it looked like it was fun, and I yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully we can live up to your expectation. Being fun. I know, yeah. So, just Rose was tutoring Comp 261 with me last year as as one of the lecturers in the course, and then course coordinator. So, yes, I know Rose, but hopefully, hopefully she'll see this from the other side and enjoy it. Okay, Sean. Can you jump in and say hi to us? Sean might not be listening. Okay, we'll go to Stelios. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So yeah, my name's Stelio. I'm doing 313. I'm mostly most of my favorite games are Nintendo games. So my favorite game of all time is Breath of the Wild. But I also love other games like platformers. I like City Skylines quite a lot. And I also love RPGs. I've been just in my spare time for like the past year, been developing a 2D RPG, kind of in like the style of an Undertale.
Nice.
I've been doing that, yeah, with a big like mental health focus. So that's been a bit of a passion project. But yeah, I just hope to. I'd like to maybe into the games development industry after this, but it just seems like a really fun time. So
Are you doing Sven or are you doing comp sci?
I do comp sci.
Right, so this is your final year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Because so the mental health side of stuff, because I've got a bunch of mental health projects, and I've got we're working with the health sciences, and I've got a PhD student who's working in mental health. So
that was an honours project of yours, wasn't it?
Yes, I have honours projects related to mental health, and I've got an honours project this year working on mental health. So.
Awesome.
So the mental health games, and I think the RPG stuff would be very interesting. So I'd be interested to see how you're going with that, and maybe you could pitch that in this course and get other people to help you finish it off.
Yeah, because alongside comp sci, I also took a minor in psychology. So just through some of the courses I took there, like my abnormal psychology course, which I absolutely loved, it was really fascinating, and I just think there can be a lot of good that can be done with highlighting mental illness in like a realistic but also with positive outcomes through video games. So could have a lot of benefit in the all-round world.
Yeah, no, I'd be keen to support you in that, and see if we can get something like that moving forward, and see if we can get a team of people around that. And I've also got we can link you up with some of the ed psychs and the health psychology people as well to try and make
That
that.
sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, that could work really well. Okay, fabulous, Stelios. And Xavier.
Hi, I'm Xavier. I'm one of the design students.
Excellent.
I'm also a composer and sound designer, doing stuff up at the music school in sonic arts and music technology. My favorite games, I've been playing a lot of Stellaris recently, but I also quite enjoy RPGs and roguelikes. Definitely an avid player of Dungeons and Dragons.
Excellent.
And
I started D&D with the Red Book back in 1982, 83. So
that's like 4 years after first edition came out.
Yeah. No, we were Red Book first edition. Yeah. No, we
My days.
We could get to level 3. That's how like we had level 1, 2, and 3. That's as far as the books went. You had to get the expert edition to get above level 3. So yeah, no. We've been D&D, and actually my brother is in a D&D group that he plays in on Thursday night, and they have been having the Thursday night D&D sessions continuously for the last 22 years.
Oh my, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Every Thursday night. Even when one went to the UK, he then joined by Skype and then by Zoom once Zoom came through. So they've been running that session for a very, very long time. And actually, one of my friends in the US, in her D&D group, was Dave Arneson, so the co-creator of D&D, because he lived in Austin, Texas, and so she got to have him in her D&D group. So there's a long D&D history I've got. So we can also talk about that to some extent with people if they're keen. But so I've not been playing regularly for 22 years. My brother has been playing regularly for 22 years. I unfortunately got too busy teaching and having to do other things. But yeah, uni basically killed my D&D. Well, being a lecturer killed my D&D because just couldn't keep up with it. But I have, when I was in Norway, I did
so little time to play.
Yeah, in Norway I did get a chance to do some sessions with my students. They were running a D&D game, so they brought me in as a guest character. So I went and played with them. That was kind of fun to do 3 or 4 sessions. I was role playing a slave trader in their particular game. So yeah, it was an interesting role to play.
Were you selling students?
Well, I was certainly I had a captive breeding program. And so I was in it for the long haul. I wasn't just making a quick buck. I was a professional,
a career entrepreneur.
Yes, a career entrepreneur. But no, that's cool, Xavier. So I really thank you for joining us and listening to all these programmers talk about the games that they're interested in. As you can see, we have quite a lot of programmers online. This course is, unlike the industry, got a lot more programmers than it needs. Honestly, in industry, it's very hard to find programmers because they all get paid so much money to do other things. This was the challenge my students had in Norway, is that when you became a good programmer, you'd be offered a large amount of money from banks and Statoil, the oil company in Norway, and the military and
FANG companies.
Yeah, and they would be paying 4 times what you'd get at a game company, and multiplying. So choosing between an 80k job and a 320k job is kind of the how much do I want the 80k job, and how much am I willing to sacrifice myself to a 320k job? Yeah, it was 80k sounds like a midweek.
It's about the passion, though. If you do games,
that was the entry level. That was entry level as he was going into, and the 320k was military work, working on armored personnel carrier. Well, one of the many things, but one of the things he could tell me about was the servo motor and real-time management system for their armored personnel carriers, for managing the automatic machine guns, because on their APCs you have a basically an iPad on the console which you can click on, and the machine gun will shoot on what you click on the screen. But the servo motors have to align the machine gun and pull the triggers and track the target. And so he was writing the real-time tracking system for that. And so they're paying him 320k as an entry level. And yeah, but you get it wrong and people die. So there are reasons why.
But you get it right and people still die.
Yes, you get it right and people die. You get it wrong and people die. It's just who dies is what you're trying to change. So yeah.
It's all which side dies.
Your KD.
You try to improve the like your KD so you get like more. It's either you have your side dying or you have the other side dying. Yeah. So which team do you have more points on?
I know how death works. I've played Call of Duty.
Yo, do you get to respawn?
Yo.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, this is the Norwegian military, and because it's a compulsory military training, every Norwegian citizen has. Well, all of them. Yeah, actually, I think they've moved it to all women as well now. Yeah, serve in the military. So it's a different place. But anyway, anyway,
Norwegian tanks are very pretty.
Yes, they've got lots of money as well. But so the last one here who hasn't said anything is Daniel Southwood.
Yes.
So say hello, Daniel.
Hello. Hello, I'm me. I work on all sorts. Games wise, I like. I've played way too much more than Minecraft. I have 0 hours in the base game, so I have like 3 hours. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I've written I read a few mods myself. I really like immersive sims, Arcane Studios, Dishonored, Deus Ex, Fury on Deus Ex, that kind of thing. Yeah. What I'm hoping to get out of this course? Chaos, because I love chaos. Game development is a great source of chaos. It's all fun. Yeah. That's me.
If you're wanting things to be different and slightly chaotic, one of my students actually described that my degree always felt like it was in beta, that it was never a final release product because I kept changing things and trying new things and doing different things. And so so the lab's been updated to Unreal 5, so we're gonna swing into Unreal 5, and I'm gonna be using GitHub Copilot, seeing it's now just out of beta, and I've never used GitHub Copilot to teach before, so let's see how that rolls. I've not had
sounds
a
like
class
fun.
full of GitHub Copilot people, so so I'll be trying new and different things. So, but that's how we learn, is by trying things. And the advantage of university is we're in a safe environment that when you fail, you don't get sort of disemboweled.
You get consigned to an eternal life of never being able to be employed.
Well, so what a friend of mine did is that when he made a complete fuck up, which was RM starring the root directory of the server for the company, right? The main database server for the entire company. He RM starred the root directory when he was drunk at a party, and it was showing off. And it meant that all of the system locked up, and they had to get the people in from Australia to reinstall the entire system from scratch. And it put the whole nationwide company into manual operation for 3 days, where all purchases had to be done manually, and they couldn't use any of their card machines or anything. And then, of course, all of that manual stuff had to then be inputted back into the digital system once everything had been reinstalled. And so he went back to university, changed his name, got a new degree, and then moved to Australia to get work.
If life gives you lemons.
Life gives you lemons. You change your name, you get a new degree, and you move to Australia. And he got a job. So it was and he's now doing very, very well and is an excellent developer. But you make a mistake, and sometimes you have to find a new way of justifying why you have this gap in your employment.
Kind of reminds me of this really dumb story that my father told me when he worked in investment banking. So he's in the Bank of America, and a new intern's in for the day. And his supervisor wanders off when he leaves him in front of a computer for a few minutes. He went to have a conversation or something. And suddenly, once he gets back, the office just starts losing it. Turns out that they had a spreadsheet, at least it looked like a spreadsheet, open on that computer with a whole bunch of trade instructions to test on past data. So they could do some historic testing of different strategies and blah, blah, blah. But there was a big red button that they didn't tell the guy not to push that trials all of these orders on live data, on the live exchanges. So they put a whole bunch of test strategies and orders onto live data and lost the company millions upon millions of dollars.
Yep.
It's quite funny.
Yep. Cool. Okay, well, we've used all of our time and an extra 20 minutes. So we'll have to say goodbye for now. But we'll see. So I'll be online Wednesday at 11:30, and I'll have my teeth at that point because I'm getting my teeth put in tomorrow. So I'm currently missing my front teeth, which is why I have some vampire-looking teeth at the moment. But I'll be talking funny on Wednesday. But we'll see you Wednesday morning if you're interested in coming in at 11:30 and chatting. and I'll have my lecture at 4 p.m. on the Wednesday. Cool.
Thank you, Simon.
Okay, thank you for everybody for sharing, and yeah, I look forward to having a fun course with you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
See y'all.
Lovely. Thank you, Simon.
Thanks a lot.